Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of One to the Force, a Star Wars, not Star Wars story, One to the Force, a Star Wars podcast. We're in the solo hype still, so it's just been there. It's myself, George, and tonight I'm joined by absolutely no one. I am the only one that's not absent. We may have a Dave cameo later on. Phil is busy at work, but I am here. I have a humongous schedule. For those that don't know, well, obviously I'm going to tell you the news now, but San Diego Comic-Con was just over a week ago, so we've got a lot of San Diego news alongside normal Star Wars news, which has been in the press the last couple of days. And I'm looking forward to, as Dave says and has done it before, flying solo. It's a different type of podcast because it is just me talking to you. For those listening to on MP3, if you hear a couple of seconds silence, it's probably the fact I'm going to have a drink because I'm going to be talking non-stop for, I guess, around an hour because this schedule is massive. If I could screen share it, I would, but there are far too many notes. So we've got fingers crossed we've got a cameo off Dave. And yeah, let's kick in with this. Of course, we've got the news. Before that, I do want to quickly announce that, unfortunately, for those that were with us, not on the Clone Wars episode, the one the day before, or for those that haven't seen it, we did record it, and due to technical issues, we had to remove it. The live stream kind of imploded on itself, and we only got about 13 minutes of audio. And it wasn't exactly 30 minutes together. It was just random seconds here and there. So that is unfortunately gone. But if you missed it, check out our Clone Wars video where we did a recap of that in the first day of San Diego Comic-Con. However, most of this show tonight is going to be San Diego stuff. There's a lot of, we're talking Hasbro, Star Wars stuff, comics, books. So much has been announced and so much has been said that it is a shame the other two aren't here because we actually have some Star Wars news and there's no film. And I'm sure Dave will be absolutely buzzing for some of the Black Series stuff. Lego, likewise, we're all looking forward to it. There's things on here, so I'm going to kick off. Before all of that, the biggest news of the last 2 weeks is on Friday, the Episode 9 cast was formally announced. Of course, you have your standards, Adam Driver, Daisy Ridley, John Boyega, etc., etc. However, the more important ones are Mark Hamill has been confirmed to reprise his role as Luke Skywalker, which I think makes sense. People are saying, I didn't want this to happen. It's a spoiler. I think, well, it was going to happen anyway. If Mark Hamill's spotted in London in the next 4 months when filming starts with a beard, they're all going to be turning around and saying, well, it's obvious he's in Star Wars, so we might as well get that hurdle out of the way first. I guess the big one is the return of Carrie Fisher. They've released a statement on the press statement basically saying that we're going to be using unused footage of Carrie Fisher from The Force Awakens for her scenes. We're not going to be recasting her. We're not going to be using CGI. We're using footage. Me personally, I am completely okay with that. There's no reason not to be. I think it's the most respectful way of doing it, which is the most important thing. Because, of course, it's not just the fact that she was Princess Leia and she's Princess Leia and she's, arguably one of the most important feminist film characters of all time. So that she's got a family and it could be cheap to do an awful CGI job. It's a very sort of controversial topic for them to be talking about. And I think they've done the safest option here. However, this is where I guess people's speculation are going to begin. It's not the sort of speculation I will be discussing tonight or people should be discussing. It should be more over the celebration of and legacy of the character of Princess Leia. So I think a lot of people are looking forward to seeing her scenes in the following film because there is no Star Wars without Carrie Fisher. She's one of the integral characters. And with the returning cast, we also have some new cast members. As we mentioned last time, but obviously it's been deleted, Kerry Russell has been cast in the film. She wasn't in the original StarWars.com press statement, but it's now been updated to include it, which means that her contract was signed maybe very late. We have the terrific Richard E. Grant has also been added to the cast. He's in a whole load of things. Most recently, you could think Logan and Hitman's Bodyguard. Very interesting casting indeed. And we've got a newcomer in Naomi Aki. These films always tend to go for that option, which is absolutely great. That's how we got Kelly Marie Tran episode 8. Of course, in episode 7, we had Daisy Ridley. So it's nice they're continuing this trend. And of course, the return of Billy D. Williams is something we must talk about as rumoured and has now been confirmed. So there is the cast for the film. There's not much to honestly talk about. It's a cast we all expected to be there. However, they did mention the filming date, which was Wednesday, August the 1st, which is today. And literally just under an hour ago, J.J. Abrams tweeted out a picture of the set of episode 9. He's now got a Twitter account. He's got the blue tick verified, so I'd go follow him on there. And he's tweeted a picture of the Millennium Falcon cockpit with the camera, and you can see a blurred image inside of Rey, Finn, and Chewbacca. And he spoke about Carrie, just like Mark Hamill has, so it's worth checking out their tweets to the case. I'm looking forward to JJ on Twitter. He's tweeting behind-the-scenes images. I think Ron Howard set a precedent there. Ryan Johnson did a couple of them when he was allowed to. But I think with what Ron Howard did with Solo, we might see a bit more of this from JJ. And it's a very smart way of getting good PR out for the film. Because if it's going to go quiet for 4 months, people will start assuming there's another Solo. Personally, I don't think that's the case, but it's nice that they're going to be a bit more open-handed than they have been in the past. I think they know there's more at stake in this one than previously. That being said, there is some, of course, other major news. For those who haven't seen on the news today, the Prop Store are going to be doing a humongous exhibition in London on Thursday, the 20th of September. The BFI IMAX, that's where it's going to take place. They're opening it up almost as a gallery of such, just in Waterloo for those that are nearby want to pop by. Star Wars-wise, they're going to be having the Han Solo coat from Episode 5 on Hoth, which they expect could reach $1 million. Anakin's lightsaber from Episodes 2 and 3 is expected to get 50 to 100 grand. They've got a helmet from A New Hope from a Stormtrooper, which could get 60 grand, and a Stormtrooper helmet from Last Jedi, which they think should reach 50k, and that'll be donated to charity in its entirety on that one, which is good from them. They can make a lot of money doing that. And for those that are interested in other films, there's plenty of other massive films. So if you think Star Wars has some big ones, Indiana Jones, they're doing the fedora, his wit. Back to the Future, they're doing the hoverboard from the second one. I believe they're doing Johnny Depp's costume from Edward Scissorhands. There are a lot of things in this exhibition, so it's really worth checking out propstore.com, having a look. Unless you're absolutely minted and you're watching us, it's not exactly the cheapest of things to get. If I had $1 million, I don't think I'd be buying Han Solo's coat. I think I'd be finding my way to him to get an autograph. There's a lot of people would, but it's going to be interesting to see what prices these goes for. It's always interesting looking at auctions after they happen, but I've never seen an auction of this caliber. I personally, of everything on sale there, I'd be far more interested in Anakin's lightsaber and the Indiana Jones whip. That's just me and myself. I'm sure there are other people wanting other things, but for those that have never heard of Prop Store, have a look on their website. They've got some really good things on there. Not everything is expensive as you think. I think I've seen there the original 1977 John Williams Star Wars OST. That's like £45, which is quite cheap. I've seen that go for like 70, 80 elsewhere. So there is some affordable stuff on there, and there are hundreds of films to choose from. You can find almost anything you wouldn't think you would. I've seen, I think, Lord of the Rings things there. Spears from Planet of the Apes going for thousands at a time. It's a really interesting shop, so have a look on there. If there's anything you like, good luck buying it. That's all I'm going to say. Moving on from those massive news pieces, I think next we go for the I guess the juggernaut of media news is that Disney are buying 20th Century Fox, as we knew. Comcast dropped their bid officially a couple of weeks ago, and the merger with Disney has now been approved, seeing as there's clearly no competition. Their price now is going to pay that. 71 billion, I think, is the final sum. It's going to go through at the start of 2019, and you might be wondering, well, why has it been reported on Watch of the Force? Of course, 20th Century Fox have the distribution rights of Star Wars Episodes 1 to 6, something Disney hasn't been able to get their hands on yet, which is why we've not seen the 4K restoration. We've not seen a box set with 1 to 8 or the solo or the spin-off stories as well. When this goes through next year, personally, I think it'll be after Episode 9. There will be a whole influx of Star Wars, not merchandise, but box sets of such 4K trilogies, 4K individual films, re-releases, you name it, Disney will go for it, and people will buy them. And if we do get special editions, or if we get the originals, that's something that will be in there for debate. But basically, it's going to give Disney the freedom now to make their own choice on the matter, where in the past they haven't had control to do so. And then I would say we have Star Wars Resistance. For those that are forgetting, of course, Clone Wars is coming back. You can check out our special where we discuss that at length. Star Wars Resistance is also coming out. We still don't know too much. However, there has been confirmed an air date of October the 13th in Germany. And there's an episode synopsis, which I'm not going to discuss yet because it might not be official, that we haven't seen a trailer yet. It could be official, but I don't want to do fake news and all that malarkey. And they have confirmed as well there will be a 22-episode season, which is quite extraordinary for an opening season. If you look at Star Wars Rebels, I think the opening season was 12-13. Season 2 and 3 were a lot longer, whereas season 4 was shorter. They're going 22 episodes out in a season 1, then I think that gives Disney a lot of confidence with this new product. I've given my personal thoughts on the concept of Star Wars Resistance. Of course, we get to see a trailer, but the anime style isn't personally my thing, but I'm intrigued to see what the trailer does and see what their plans are. So that's going to be coming out very soon. Well, I'd assume the trailer would, if it's airing in October, that is literally just 2.5 months away now. So surely something will be coming up soon. And of course, again, for those that care about the Clone Wars, we're all excited to hear about that. Check out our video. That'll be coming in 2019. I think we all know what everyone's excited for. However, it will be nice to see some new Star Wars content, especially set between episodes 6 and 7, which is something they haven't really been able to explore too heavily yet, especially in the visual terms. So next up, we have Build Your Own X-Wing. Last year, I believe there was an almost pilot of the Build Your X-Wing. So they've done a Build Your R2-D2. I'd check out Dave's channel for that. He's done an incredible video series. He's almost at the end of it now. That's why I say almost at the end, but it's in the latter half. For those that don't know, it is D'Agostini / Model Space. Do it every week, normally 100 issues. You're in for the long haul. I have the Build Your Millennium Falcon, which I absolutely adore. However, I'm not afraid to say it's nowhere near as good as the Lego Millennium Falcon. If I'd known they would be building that, I wouldn't have done the subscription. Build Your X-Wing. There's no details yet, except you can register for when the sales are going to begin. We don't know the pricing of individual issues, or if it's going to be 100 issues, but they have already announced what you can get if you not pre-order but subscribe. You get your bog standard free gifts, one folder, a t-shirt, and all that stuff. So Build Your X-Wing, it looks okay. Personally, it's not really my cup of tea. After seeing what Lego's sort of done with the Falcon and the D'Agostini one, it's very expensive. The R2 is quality. That's easily the best thing they've done, the best thing they could have done. However, the X-Wing, it's not exactly got the design of something you can spend long on. It's essentially just a thin, long line with four, like an end. I don't know. I hope people don't think I'm slagging this off, but for what's probably going to cost a couple of £100, I think you can get a lot better of that kit for a lot cheaper, and you can spend the rest on something far more interesting, Star Wars related, which is personally what I would do. But if those want to go ahead and build it, go for it. You can check out the website. They've got pre-order options. Just sign up, review your mail and your name, and they'll start giving you details when you can. And moving on from that, we've got to dip back to Solo. Paul Bettany, who played Jordan Voss, has done an interview at MTV Movie Awards, and he's actually come out and says he's kind of confused why Solo bombed. So he says that this is his quote: "I loved the movie. I went to see it and I absolutely loved it. I know some real nerd fans who absolutely adored it. This is fantastic. I saw it again. I went to the premiere. I went to see it with them again. It was." And then they start talking, of course, about the financial side of it. And goes, "It was confusing to me. I thought the story was so great. I thought the execution was great. I was just surprised to hear about the box office." He says it's peculiar being in a movie that makes hundreds of millions of dollars and people say that's nowhere near enough. The thing with Star Wars is that eventually everyone on the planet will see it. And I'm very proud of what I did. I loved playing Dryden. I absolutely love him. He's delicious. I can't really complain about what he said of that. This is a guy that dropped Infinity War this year. His film made over $2 billion. He's done Solo. He's been in blockbuster hits, and I think everyone's. I don't want to say they're surprised about the box office results, but they're not surprised. It's not hit $1 billion. It's not in the cloudland they think it would be. It's come out just after Infinity War and Deadpool 2, and it's come out just before Jurassic World. Definitely not the smartest of marketing releases. Something that personally I hope they rectify in the next. Not episode. Well, yeah, technically here's episode 9. I think we've got a nice year and a half gap to episode 9 coming out now. They can take a bit longer with the marketing. I'm guessing we'll get a first trailer of Celebration in Chicago. We'll get plenty of other, obviously, snippets, but Solo it started so late in the marketing of it, and that there's been so much bad press, it's almost impossible to bounce back from. Think Justice League, think anything, once the bad press is out there, doesn't matter if you get good reviews, good word of mouth, the bad press is what's going to kill a film. And unfortunately, it did for Solo before it came out, which is a shame because I had a good time. The other guys on the channel had a good time. And I think a lot of the fans did. But he is right. Everyone will see it. I see it as a film that if you didn't watch it in the cinema, people will pick up on Blu-ray. They will see it eventually when it's on Netflix or if it's on Sky Movies or whatnot. It's a film that will find a cult following. And I really hope it does because it deserves it. And I absolutely adored the fact that Dryden Voss was a late change by Ron Howard. We got to bring in a great actor in Paul Bettany, and he made for a far more compelling villain than a CGI half lion man would have. It would have been too easy to go down that motion capture villain route, especially after we've had Snoke so recently, and I felt that Dryden Voss worked for it. There was the human side of him, which made him far more intriguing as a character, but it also allowed to up the stakes for the eventual sort of, not the final confrontation, but it upped the stakes by having him as a human. If he had been a lion, I couldn't have seen him bargaining with anybody. I could have just seen him just as the villain because he's the only motion captured alien lion villain thing there is. Whereas when Dryden Voss being human, it just makes him more of an in-depth character. And it's not criticism. Motion capture is there. It's a beautiful thing. It can be done. But for what the role of Dryden Voss was, 3 scenes, it worked a lot better to have a human than for anyone else to be doing that. And in the final part of the news, obviously it's flying quite quick tonight. This is a very... I'm by myself, almost it takes the discussion away. It's almost me telling you everything you need to know. But however, I'm not biased. I'm happy to give my opinions left, right, and centre, and some of the opinions of the other guys. And I'm sure in saying so, we'd all like to wish Peter Mayhew a speedy recovery. For those that don't know, he's had spinal surgery. He announced last week he was due to attend London Film and Comic Con. There is a statement last week saying that he's had surgery to improve his mobility, which is absolutely wonderful to hear. And I think he made a joke saying that he's an inch taller now. And we wish him a speedy recovery and hope to see him in the near future. He said he'll be attending again in March. I'm guessing maybe Celebration in April, but as long as he takes his time, recovers the best he can, it's good to get news like that, and that he's come out public and the operation has been a success. So wish him all the best of that, and from all three of us here, I do. And moving on from the news, we have Star Wars, which is Phil's beloved area. So if he's listening to this, I hope I don't mess this up. I don't have all the comics or the books. I kind of keep in contact with them mainly because of Phil. So I'm kind of nicked his job for tonight, and fingers crossed this is going to go down well. But announced for Star Wars, we have from San Diego Comic-Con a Master and Apprentice novel announced. This is going to be an Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon Jinn book set before Episode 1, and that's going to be out in February. Now, there has been some canon set for Episode 1 in terms of, I think there was some Clone Wars information. They alluded to a past. Again, Phil will know the answer to this. He's probably drawing his knife as I speak that I've got something wrong. But I think off the top of my head, this is the first pre-Episode 1 official canon, or at least deeper canon in the sense this is an entire book set before the era which Disney is now sort of not controlling, but the new canon, the old EU is gone, and I'm very excited for this. I loved, obviously, Ewan McGregor's Obi-Wan. He's an iconic character. I also believe Liam Neeson's Qui-Gon's iconic. So they're both characters that they go into that Episode 1 film. They've both got great chemistry together, and they leave a lasting impression. So it makes you think, well, what more was there? Of course, there's a Clone Wars arc where they do bring back Liam Neeson's Qui-Gon, but as far as the book goes, I'm interested to see what they do, what their plans are. Are they going to develop Obi-Wan a bit more, develop Qui-Gon, their relationship, Obi-Wan's past? I'm excited, and I think that's something that could be very intriguing. It'll be certainly one of the books that I want to pick up. Next up, we've got a new book about Lando, and in Solo Star Wars story Lando, not Billy D. Williams Lando. It's called Lando's Luck, and it's going to be a book set before Solo about Lando and L3. Don't know too many details yet. It's an origin of the computer L3 or whatnot, but it'll be interesting from the artwork. It looks a bit more of a sort of teen novel than it would a normal novel. So it might have that sort of younger element to it, but any sort of Lando news is good news, I guess. He's on a bit of a renaissance, and I'll be discussing that later on in Toy Shelf. And we have a third book announced at San Diego, which is Star Wars Queen's Shadow, which is going to be guessed. Obviously, there's only really one queen in Star Wars. It's Amidala, isn't it? It's going to be about her. I don't know too many details yet of the plot, but there's some gorgeous artwork that's been released, which is going to be the book front cover. So that's worth having a look at. I'm just going to have a quick water break while I read everyone's comments, just for a couple of seconds. Matt says, I'm sure Solo will do well on Blu-ray DVD. And like I said, I think the bad press put the casual view off the cinema. I think that's the case completely. It's personally, I've seen Justice League yet. I mean, it's not because of the bad press or because it's bombed. It's because that franchise has failed. You look at Star Wars, these films have been juggernaut hits, and I'm not just talking the Disney ones. The original 6 naturally were huge, and so is this. And I think now we've reached the point where, you know, bringing the film up 5 months after the last one, it's so soon. And because of the bad press, because of the release, there are 3 or 4 big things which could have affected the box office, but to have them all sort of multiply and join together in the same time makes it so. If this film had come out in September, but had no bad press and not been 5 months after Last Jedi, this could have made a couple of $100 more mil. This film had come out with only bad press, not next to Infinity War, Deadpool, or 5 months after Last Jedi. It also made more money. There are sort of 3 or 4 massive reasons for this, and unfortunately for Disney, who are really short on cash at the minute, they can only bid $71 billion for another company. It's unfortunately resulted these multitudes in one box. It's not even a box office bomb. It's just a box office disappointment, if anything. Unfortunately, they've had their first one. It is the lowest grossing Star Wars film, and I think people forget how important the casual viewer is. Lots of people, you know, I'm not digging into Last Jedi. I like Last Jedi. I know people dislike it. That's fine to have that opinion. I can respect that if you can respect the director and cast. You know, people, this isn't your franchise. Like, we all care, and I think I speak for a lot of people when we say that the Star Wars franchise is bigger than a fandom. It's the casual people. It's the little kids who go into the cinema for the first time to watch Star Wars. It's the adults taking their kids. It's the people that will go watch the new Star Wars film, but they're not going to see any trailers or look at the news every week before that film comes out. People forget the casual viewer is the most important viewer in a franchise. Look at the Marvel Cinematic Universe. When Avengers 1 came out, all the way before it was, the $1 billion franchise it was, Avengers 1 was the accumulation of the previous films. If you look at Iron Man 2, none of them made past, I think, 800 million. Thor made about 400, 500 mil. Captain America made about 500 mil. Hulk made about 300, 400. These weren't these were good films, and they were very successful, but these weren't the box office sort of $1 billion club like they are now. All those audiences sort of joined together to watch the Avengers. And yes, there are Marvel fans in there. They can account for a lot of the grossing. But they're also fans of films that weren't just, Marvel. There were fans of Thor that went to the cinema for the first time for Avengers because Thor was in it. And then they learned more about the other Marvel characters. And it's this sort of this building process. And it's the same with Black Panther. Not everyone that went to watch Black Panther is a Marvel fan, which is why it's made so much more money than most Marvel films. And there's got to be credit there that people are going for these individual characters. And a lot of these are the casual fans. They're not the hardcore Marvel fans. And it's the exact same Star Wars, and it's a concept people struggle with. The casual fan didn't want to go to the cinema and see Solo. Yes, some people boycotted it, but people that disliked The Last Jedi did not result in a $500 million loss. They're just a very, very loud, small minority. There are multiple reasons for that film failing. I don't waffle off 2 point, but I do adore the box office sort of discussions that you can get to. They are good fun. Although threatening when you realize that Infinity War is only 20 mil less in box office than The Force Awakens is. Which is a stat for those that don't know. But anyway, going back to Star Wars, they have announced a new comic series. There's going to be a 5-series special called Tales from Vader's Castle. That sounds disturbingly like Takashi's Castle or whatever that sort of game show is. So it's going to be unhard to get that out of my mind. And there is also going to be a comic series where it's going to go into each era of the. So you've got the prequels, the originals, the sequels, and there's going to be 8 comics coming out across a 4-month spread in each era, and there'll be one comic based on the hero, one based on the villain. So you'll get 4 heroes and villains in each era, if that makes any sense to anyone. And then you'll get 4 months of that, 4 months of the next era, 4 months of the following era. I hope that doesn't sound as confusing. Phil would give a much better explanation if he was here, but that is one of the new Star Wars comics. It actually sounds very interesting. Could be a lot of fun doing character-based stories. I think the Star Wars films very rarely are they told from a character's perspective. They're told from, the bog standard perspective. Are they going to be point of views? Are they going to be just normal stories? But yeah, that's interesting. Chris James, going back to Takashi's Castle, I'm sure Vader won't be running up any soapy inclines of a bungee rope on his back, though. I would actually pay to see that. If there's going to be like an extended Rogue One sequence of sort of him coming out of his weird sort of Bacta and like his Rocky training montage, I think that'd be something amazing. Imagine that a Rocky composed montage by John Williams in a Star Wars film. That would be something where they can get $1 billion just off that one trailer. Yeah, so that's Star Wars from what I know. Phil, don't be disappointed in me too much. I hope you're back in 2 weeks to do it properly. Now we're getting into something that's a bit more territory, which is actually the longest section for today by country mile. We have Toy Shelf. Of course, San Diego Comic-Con happened. There was a massive Hasbro panel for Marvel, for Star Wars and other properties. However, of course, Hasbro and Star Wars go hand in hand with each other. So one of the big things is that Hasbro have announced they'll be releasing European exclusives for the first time ever in the fall of this year. So first that maybe on the other side the ocean in America and whatnot. A lot of the exclusives, the Walmart vintage TIE Fighter, it's a Walmart exclusive, it's American retailer. We can't get them over here. We get maybe one supplier that will get 10 of them. And over here in the UK, we get a really bung deal of these exclusives, especially Hasbro. There's been a lot of uproar online with how they've sort of dished out their exclusives and the rate of them. Funko's another example for the pops and stuff like that. There's a lot of dramas for when people are trying to get those. Hasbro announcing European exclusives is actually really, really cool. It's something that I wish they'd done in the past, and now the issue of this is there's going to be a small minority of people that are going to moan saying why these European exclusives only, and I really hope that isn't the case. There's a resort back to America, but it's about time people have to learn to import from other continents. because we're sick of doing these ridiculous long imports of these figures that potentially could come damage European exclusive. If it's the UK convention, that'd be absolutely perfect. That'd be easy for us to go grab. Black Series last year, they were at MCM Comic Con in London at the end of the year. Phil and Dave both got their figures. That was a great exclusive to have, which people had to get ordered. And at the end of the day, companies will import. If you get it back in one piece, that's fair enough. But we've had to take that risk for so long. It's about time they start doing some more European exclusives. And I'm happy they've addressed it. And I hope they're actually good exclusives as well. Not cheap, boring, throwaway ones. So I adore the San Diego one that's coming. That's arriving in the post, the Dr. Aphra free pack, as well as the Membound Stormtrooper. But yeah, so for those living in Europe, good news ahead. Obviously, for Hasbro figures, Funko are probably going to mess everyone around until they go bankrupt. But resorting back to the Hasbro panel, I might as well take everyone through the Hasbro stuff. So for those that know the Force FX lightsabers, 2019, I'm going to say it a couple of times because it is in the actual news for the next couple of pieces. It's the 20th anniversary of Phantom Menace next year. Also could be argued the 20th anniversary of the prequels, and I think that's going to be a big marketing ploy, not just for celebration, but for merch throughout the year. Hasbro have announced that their next set of Force FX lightsabers will be Obi-Wan Kenobi from Episode 1, Darth Maul from Episode 1, and Mace Windu from Episode 2/3. I very much doubt it will come with the custom Samuel L. Jackson engraved words. For those that don't know, of course, I can't swear on this channel. We are live, of course. There's a famous story that when obviously Sam Jackson was cast and given a lightsaber, he had two famous words from his Pulp Fiction character quoted in Aurebesh on his lightsaber. The first word is bad, and half of the second word is mother, and I'm assuming you can guess the third, well, the second half of the second word. If it comes engraved of that, then I would pay ridiculous fee to have that. I doubt they will, because one kid would translate it and be horrified. But it's really cool that they're bringing out Mace Windu's lightsaber. I love the purple. I know not everybody likes it, but the story behind that, how he demanded that to George Lucas, the purple lightsaber, and then got it custom engraved, is actually amazing. So it'll be cool to see a bit more prequel sort of merch on the shelves, which we're going to get to next. 6-inch Black Series figures, of course, with the recent sort of technology upgrade, they've been a humongous success. There's been sort of the, how to describe it, the photorealistic technology they're using on the face to say, if you look at the quality of Black Series when it started in 2015, it was great. Look at 2017 for Force Awakens, it was absolutely abysmal. It was worse than 3 3/4-inch figures, which is disgusting because they're meant to be collectors. And last year they sorted themselves out, and they've got some really stunning Black Series figures coming out now, and it's going to be used to push them forward. So they've been able to do these new things. And coming next is Ezra from Star Wars Rebels. And there's also going to be a chopper, which is him rising from a fire. There's going to be a patrol trooper and a Rio Durant from Solo: A Star Wars Story. And they've also announced in 2019 there'll be a whole host of prequel characters getting Black Series figures. And off the top of my head, from what I can remember, there was a Mace Windu, a Battle Droids, Obi-Wan Kenobi Episode 1, and I think Qui-Gon's already been out. So I think there was another one from Episode 1, which I've forgotten. That's my bad. And an Episode 2 Padme Amidala. So obviously, of course, announcing 2019 figures means that there will be not necessarily a high sales count, but it means that Hasbro are taking this, not development, but they're going to take the Episode 1 anniversary to the merchandise level, which is great because they did that for the 40th anniversary last year, and it's going to be a shame if they don't follow on from it. As well as the Black Series 6 inches, there's a new set of figures coming out called the Black Series Archive, and basically what they're doing, it's the equivalent of the Greatest Hits album. Black Series of repackaging, recreating their most successful ever figures, which to come out next year as well. They're going to be called the Archive figures. Basically, they said this is designed to stop scalpers, those who buy loads of figures to sell them. The original Black Series figures, some of them were quite limited, quite rare to get. I think you're looking at Luke, Pilot Luke, Boba Fett, not Dengar. Why do I always get him mixed up? This is where I wish the others to correct me. You've got Boba Fett, you've got Luke. I think IG-88 is getting one, and Bosk, that was the one. They're getting an update. It's new packaging. It says in Giant Mode Archive over the front, which to me immediately disregards this as a greatest hits. They're not re-releasing the figures. They're re-releasing them in a new packaging so that people can buy them again to continue their collections, which is a shame, but that's the way that Hasbro go. So they'll be coming out some point Personally, I couldn't care less about them. I think it's cheap and too easy. They've said they'll be doing new sculpts on the character's head, but all those I listed, only one of them's actually got a face. The others are all sort of robots and creatures which already look amazing in the Black Series collection. We're almost there, guys. Next up, we have my personal favourites vintage collection. Wave 2 is now available as pre-orders on StarActionFigures.com. That includes, as we spoke about last time, a Death Trooper, the Assault Tank Pilots, Solo from Solo Star Wars Story, and Enfys Nest. They look excellent. They're available as pre-order, so I'd get them done if I was you. And another thing to mention is that the vintage collection next year from 2019 will be using the technology that Black Series does. So when I spoke about Black Series has improved itself with this new tech, they're going to be applying that to vintage collection, which I think is amazing because I think the quality is already quite great for a small 3.75-inch figure. So I'm very excited to see what they're doing next. And that's, I guess, their big story for that. And of course, with that, they've announced not necessarily the future wave, but they've announced a whole bunch of characters that are going to come at some point over the next year. This is going to be Lando from Solo Star Wars Story, a Scarif Stormtrooper, a Praetorian Guard, Darth Revan from the old EU, Imperial Stormtrooper from Rogue One, and a Death Star Gunner from Rogue One. So again, a heavy focus on some of the newer Disney films, which I think makes it far more interesting because it's nice to see these new films packaged in the old way to see how they would have looked. So I'm excited to get some of those on order. And at the Hasbro event, it was also announced that there will be 3 convention exclusives over the next year. So I'm going to naturally assume Star Wars Celebration will have one, New York Comic Con will have one, and potentially an exclusive from elsewhere, because the following bit of news is that the vintage collection they've announced for 2019, originally there was going to be 4 waves across the year. That was their plan. There was going to be 3 waves in 2018, 4 in 2019. Hasbro announced that due to there's a whole complicated trade matter on the repack. So Wave 2 of Vintage Collection has 4 figures, not 6, because they're repacking 2 figures from Wave 1. So now there's going to be a load more Wave 1 figures than there are Wave 2. And this sort of knock-on effect creates the second-hand black market. And it makes it harder for collectors to get theirs because people are buying them to sell at ridiculously high, expensive prices. I think Hasbro has acknowledged that this is getting out of hand now. So they've basically come out and said that next year there are going to be less repacks of these older figures, and there are going to be less waves across the year, so they can focus on distributing all of the figures across the year in a fairer way. Personally, I think that's absolutely great news, because one of the issues I have with this is that, so Wave 1, I believe in one Hasbro pack there were 1 of each figure. No, that's right, there were 2 of each figure except the Jin and the Hoth Rebel Trooper, which had 1 each. There wasn't too much demand for Jin. It's a cool character to have, but there's a massive demand on the Hoth Rebel Trooper because it was the exact style of the old Kenner figures, even as in the film choice as well. He's going to the black market for 30 odd quid onwards. The RRP is about £13-14 on these. So they're absolutely milking it, especially these second-hand dealers, people that sell at conventions. Makes it unfair. So Hasbro announcing they're going to be doing stuff to stop this is very impressive. And now if this pays off on paper, then that'll have my blessing. But until there's actually action, it's going to make it harder. Currently, for those that are collecting, especially in the UK, I would always have a look on StarActionFigures.com or .co.uk, because they can notify when the pre-orders do start to come in. And it is something that does make a difference. It means you can get them ordered. If you're looking to have a credit card, just chuck them on there, and that will come through in a couple of months when the figures are in stock. But it's your guarantee that you're going to get your pre-orders and the figures. And they've also got some of the San Diego figures on sale now. Matt Harwood says, I've just had a look at the vintage collection Enfys Nest and Darkside toys. Looks amazing. It definitely does. Personally, my favourite of Wave 2 is the Death Trooper. For those that follow this channel for a while, I have always been quite fond of the Death Troopers, but the card back is incredible. The flamethrower, the fire coming from it, the Death Trooper standing tall. That's a great image. I bet Enfys Nest definitely is the second best design. It just looks intimidating, badass, and she's still got the helmet on to me, which is the big thing, because the figure looks incredible and the card back too. The Solo I'm not too bothered about. It looks cool, but the artwork on the card looks very Photoshoppy, which isn't a bad thing, but it would have been nice if these are still from the film. And the Assault Tank Trooper pilot is great. I actually have the Assault Tank. It's above the wardrobes, which you cannot see on the video if you're watching an MP4. So maybe next time I'll bring it back. I think I did show it on the Clone Wars episode, so I'm just going to, for the 4th or 5th time today, tell everyone to go back and look at the episode. But that's by far one of the best things. I'm not a big fan of the big ships, the vintage collection. They've announced a TIE Fighter. with a TIE Pilot. I saw it at London Comic Con last week. It looks okay, but as a vintage collection goes, it doesn't feel vintage because you can buy the Kenner TIE Fighters, and yes, it's nice, it's updated. For 95 quid, I would not want to be spending that on an old Kenner figure. I'd rather spend more and get an old Kenner figure. To me, these new series, they're designed to do figures haven't been done before. That's why there's a focus on the new Disney era, and the Assault Tank Trooper is probably one of the best new designs they've had. And I'm interested to see how they do this. I'm assuming they'll do an emphasis of bikes like they have done with Black Series. There's so much potential with the vintage collection that it'd be a shame to waste these big ships on the original trilogy era ships that have been done in the past. There's so much they can do, and I really hope they do it, especially some episode. An episode 8 ski speeder would look magnificent in vintage collection, but hopefully not too much because naturally no one wants to be skint 24/7. That's me kind of done with the vintage collection, Hasbro, Black Series, and all that jazz. We're back to the other toys now, so we are still almost there. For those that are into hot toys, the ones where you spend like 300 quid on a figure, which are beautiful, but there are so many released, so many announced. I would love to know someone that's available to keep buying them. They're not the cheapest, as Dave always says. If you had the money, it'd be a figure. You can only ever get one, and that's going to be your one. And that's the way I look at these now. The day comes where there is that one. It will be getting. However, they have announced a Darth Maul, an Episode 1 Darth Maul at that, and it does look magnificent, as they all do. And it's $285, and you're thinking that's a lot. And of course it is. And then if you want the special edition with the Sith Speeder, which he has for less than 1 minute on screen, $405, an extortionate amount of money. It does look very nice, don't get me wrong, but if anyone really wants to pay another $120 for a tiny, tiny C-shaped flying speeder, then I would honestly suggest buying something else. Like I said, the Hot Toys are really cool to have. I'm sure someone's going to buy them. Darth Maul is a very popular figure. This could be a very popular seller. But it just seems, every week we do a show and there's some more announced, and they look amazing, and they always will do, but they're so expensive, they're so hard to get. And that's the point of them. These are real, you go into Film Planet, you see tons of these on the shelves. They look absolutely stunning, but just the demand is so hard. And when your pre-order says you've got to wait like 8 months, it's insane. I did have a Luke Episode 6 on pre-order, and I think that would have been due in August 2018, and I swear I pre-ordered that like a year ago. So it would have only just shipped around now. It's crazy to think how long people wait. You can get these great figures, and sometimes in the future you can get them on offer. I've seen a lot of the Episode 7 stock trying to be shipped quite cheap on Amazon. It is hard to, I guess, ship them if they're not in demand. Like the Episode 7 Flame Trooper, I don't see too many people wanting them, but they still made loads of them. And they're the ones that are on offer, ironically. So I think it'll be interesting to see if you do get any of these really great figures on offer in the future. So moving on from Hot Toys, we are now at Lego. And I've got a couple of things. So as of today, all of the new Lego kits are on sale. And when I say Lego latest, I'm not just talking Star Wars, Harry Potter, Ninjago, all of the Lego brands have all got new sets on sale today, August the 1st. So we've discussed in the past of what these are going to be. We've got Snoke's Throne Room, a new X-Wing, a new Sandcrawler, the medical chamber with Luke, and Anakin Starfighter from Episode 3, which I swear there's been like 5 or 6 of them now. It's excessive, there's too much, but they're all on sale for those that like them. They have had leaked a Lego Star Wars Porg, and you're thinking, oh, a minifigure? No. For those that have seen the Lego BB-8 from last year with 1,000 pieces, a really great build. It was really good fun. The Lego Porg is the equivalent. It's £65. There's 800 bricks, and you are literally building a Porg. It doesn't look like it should cost 65 quid. It looks like it should cost £10. I like the Porgs, but I think the timing's wrong. This should have come out last year. BB-8 could have come out this year. They could have pulled the plug a bit later because BB-8's character is popular by demand. The Porg almost feels like it was with Episode 8. All the hype was on that. I think this set is such a random release date. It's not even near Episode 9. It's this weird midpoint. Even the Lego sets, there's only one episode set on sale, which is Snoke's Throne Room, which looks great. There's not enough red curtains. But the Lego Porg being leaked now is very strange, very bizarre. I'm guessing that'll come out with the next wave at the end of the year, because they normally do a wave in November time. And I believe that is all the news. I'm not going to end just yet. I'm going to continue this because it has been quite short. I had not necessarily a mini debate, but because obviously there's just one of us, I can't debate myself. There is something that I wanted to discuss that for those that have seen the news, a Lego Hogwarts has been, and I know I'm on a Star Wars channel, but we can talk about this very quickly. So the Lego's biggest ever set is the Lego Millennium Falcon, 7,500 pieces. Went on sale last September. Cost £650. Almost, well, it's in stock everywhere now. For the first 6 to 10 months, it was very, very hard to get, and it was one of the most incredible building experiences I've ever had. Of course, it's got the most pieces. It should be that, and it was very, very good fun. It was actually a hard build. It was expensive, but it was great. And now they've announced a Lego Hogwarts, the second biggest Lego ever made. 6,020 pieces. It's a micro minifigure scale of Hogwarts, the entire castle, the grounds, Hagrid's hurt, Dementors, Hungarian Horntail. For those that know the Harry Potter, if you know what that is, if you don't, I'm assuming you want to know what the giant castle looks like. Now, this is where the Star Wars stuff comes in, because I kind of have a question posed for anyone listening in the comments later on or anything. This Lego Hogwarts, which is 6,000 pieces, and obviously the Millennium Falcon 7,500. Hogwarts is priced at £350 in the UK. £300 less than the Millennium Falcon, which has 1,500 pieces more. Now, I think the Millennium Falcon, it was a lot of money. It was absolutely great. If you look at the average of a Lego build and the pieces they're in, that's about an average price for something that should have 7,500 pieces. When you look at Lego Hogwarts, 6,000 pieces, and it's 350 quid. It kind of makes to me, it actually is quite not insulting as such to Star Wars. And I'm not agreeing with I think I'm trying to make the point that it's crazy. It's £300 less to have Hogwarts, which is as iconic as Star Wars, all bias aside. As iconic as Millennium Falcon. It's the most iconic image from Harry Potter is Hogwarts Castle. And for it to be 300 quid cheaper for 1,000 less bricks, I think it's quite insulting. I think looking back at this, that the Falcon was worth it, was great. But I feel as if that somewhere Lego have really ripped off the Star Wars fan, and we know that you can get away with charging more for Star Wars. Everyone does it. But £300 more for 1,000 bricks, I think has reached a point now where that is very, very shady business from Lego. Yes, Hogwarts is a different medium completely, but Harry Potter was the only film until Solo that's finished top of Star Wars, the box office, until Rogue One. Star Wars episodes 2 and 3 were beaten by Chamber of Secrets. Was episode 3 beaten by Harry Potter film? I need to double check that actually. But Chamber of Secrets beat Attack of the Clones at the box office. Till Rogue One, that never happened. Harry Potter was the only franchise to beat Star Wars as in an annual grossing. So, Harry Potter has a massive fan base, and this has been shared a lot on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I just want to pose a question to people. Do you think it's value for price that it should be £300 more from Millennium Falcon that only has 1,500 more bricks? Or do you think it's fair given it comes in a collector's binder? Personally, I'm opposed to that. I think if Hogwarts is that cheap, they should have made the Falcon cheaper. But looking back, they made so much money off the Falcon that everybody wanted it. It was in demand for so long. Lego has not rinsed it, but they've got every penny they know they could get and more. So that's interesting leading into the release of this Lego Hogwarts. It would be very interesting to tell if this set is as in demand as the Falcon, where it's going to be sold out everywhere for the first 6 months. I'll be very intrigued. I think a lot of other people will. So I'm just going to leave that question posed of you. I have reached the end of tonight's very lonely 40-minute talkathon. It feels like K-Buddy Sleep Sounds of the 70s, for those that know their film, those that know Reservoir Dogs. And there was no games news, by the way, tonight. I did check. There's absolutely nothing on Battlefront 2, the failure that game is. So I'm going to end this note, obviously, with that Lego pose. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. And for those, check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We'll be covering the news as we always do. Keep checking back for more. I'm not very good at the outros. I'm not used to doing them, so I'm trying to get through it normally. If you listen to MP3 on SoundCloud or iTunes, check us out there. Thanks for listening. We've had some issues with SoundCloud recently, but we've got everything back up on there as it's meant to be, and I hope this episode does come through like last time. And I want to thank everybody for listening. Thanks for your comments, for following us, checking out our videos. We do enjoy making these. For whatever reason, I'm usually the one that's absent, not the others. So I guess this is just this tonight that I'm here. But may the force of others be with you, and good night or something like that. Anyway, enjoy the rest of your night, folks.